What if we are living in a community that has not yet been conquered by modernity? Going back to the old times where everything is more peaceful, it's just that the way of life is in a slow pace. What if this so called modernization takes us somewhere beyond our own character? Modernization is a process which indicates the adoption of the modern ways of life and values. It is a process which changed the society from primarily agrarian economic model to the primarily industrial economy. Modernization is good in the sense that it helps us practice democracy. Everyone is free to follow what they like to do. Everyone is free to follow customs they like and live the way they want to. On the other hand, it is also bad in that we have completely forgotten our culture. Our moral values are now being degenerated. We have become so much involved in ourselves that we do not know anything about our surroundings. Which is why the problem of teenage pregnancy began to arise. Based from the Save the Children's Global Childhood Report in 2019, teenage pregnancy affects 5.99% of Filipino girls, which is the second highest rate in Southeast Asia. According to Attorney Alberto Muyot, Chief Executive Officer of Save the Children Philippines, early pregnancy forces girls to take on an adult role while their bodies are often not ready. It traps them in an inescapable cycle of poverty, stigmatized by society for being teenage mothers. But the question here is why? Why do teenagers engage themselves into something they lack knowledge of? Why do others still want to experience it despite knowing the consequences of the earlier victims? Why do some men can just control their lustful desires? But then again, we are already in the modernized aspect of life for which I have mentioned earlier, wherein it greatly affects our morality. We have let modernization conquer not just the physical world, but also our own mentality. How come? What does modernization have to do with the emergence of teenage pregnancy in the society? Well, actually, it has a big role in it. Let us try to separate the parties involved. First, we have the parents, and then the second, the children. One of the main reasons why teenagers engage themselves in sexual activities is that they lack the proper guidance of their parents or their guardians. Why? Let us again divide both parents or families into two. First, we have the rich ones, and then the second, the poor ones. Because modernization has altered our way of saying things, these parents that are rich in resources think that the best way to raise their children properly is by continuously giving them material things. They are more focused in giving their children's physical needs. On the contrary, in a report of the World Health Organization last January, adolescent pregnancies are more likely to occur in marginalized communities, commonly driven by poverty. And because of poverty, parents are struggling to provide for their family, thus losing their time to educate their children. Moving on to the children, the lack of proper guidance is not an excuse to involve themselves in such actions. But it's the use of technology, right? Because for us, instead of using it and acquiring the proper knowledge and understanding, we opt to use it for other purposes. Teenagers are more engaged in technology, making them more advanced, especially in gathering information, may it be good or bad. And one of its disadvantages include their early exposure to sexual matters. They are able to easily access things about sexuality which are not actually good for them. And also nowadays, teenagers find it difficult to contain their curiosity. Curiosity kills the cat, as people say. They always find ways to experience it because they believe that experience is the best source of knowledge, which does not really apply to all kinds of situations. on another perspective, teenage pregnancy does not only occur due to the reasons I have mentioned. Rather, teenage girls can also be victims of sexual violence. And that happens because as people continue to modernize, they are also losing their morality. Living in the modern world is not wrong, or having the eagerness to continue to develop is not wrong. As long as, along with our modernization, we carry on with us our values, which in fact the things that helped us in creating a modernized society. In modernizing, we don't have to change our character because it is the definition of who and what we are. As for the case of teenage pregnancy, we all know that this problem can be mitigated only if we learn how to discipline ourselves. As for the parents and guardians, it is your responsibility to be the best teacher for your children, to make sure that they are able to learn the right things in the proper way, because not all things about life can be taught in school. You don't have to compromise their psychosocial welfare just for material things which will soon perish. And as for children, especially we teenagers, it is our responsibility to think wisely before we commit to such actions. For small mistake today can create larger problems in the future. Let us all work together in building a better place for us to live in without having to sacrifice the welfare of another. Thank you. I am Thea Clarice Lianis, and a pleasant afternoon to all of you.